Hello, this is Kim Score, and today I'm going to show you how to make a pop-up pedestal card. The card looks like this when it's opened. As you can see, it folds right down inside on itself like that. This card is really very simple to create. All you need is an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock, and you cut that in half so that you have an 8.5 by 5.5 sheet. Then we're going to take that. You can either fold it in half. I like to get some clean scores, so I go score it at 4.25 and then fold it in half. And if you want, sharpen the crease like so. At this point, you want to decorate the inside of your card. You could stamp a background on here if you wanted to. I like to use designer paper. I'm going to add a couple of sheets of paper on the inside like this. And these pieces are cut at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. I prefer to do it in 2 pieces rather than 1 because it folds flatter when it's assembled. So now the inside of our card is done. Now what we need to do is make the pop-up pedestal portion of the card. So what I do is start with a 3 by 3 inch square of cardstock. You want to make sure it's a nice sturdy piece of cardstock because it's going to be taking the majority of the tension when a card is opening and closing. And you want it to be sturdy enough that it'll pop up easily when your card opens up. First thing you're going to do is on one side here, we're going to score at 1.5 inches. Then we're just going to turn it clockwise, 1 turn, and we're going to score it at 1/2 inch. So now you can see it looks like a little T mark here. Then we're going to take it, and right here on this little short score line here, we're going to clip it with some scissors. So now you have 2 little tabs like this. And go ahead and sharpen those score lines. Now, we're going to fold it in half, keep the folded edge on the top, and then we're going to take this point here and we're going to fold it down to this line, like this. And then sharpen your crease good and sharp, like so. Now you're going to open this back up, and then it's easier if you open it like so. Stick your finger right in here and push. Push down at the same time you're closing it back up. As you can see, it creates this little valley fold. Again, we're going to sharpen our creases. So at this point we have our pop-up pedestal. Okay. So now we want to attach a decorative piece for in the center of this. It's best if you pick something that's asymmetrical. I like to use flowers because they're pretty universal, and if you use a die like this nestability here, there's a good half mark you can see when you score it right down the middle. You could use a circle if you wanted to use like a large die-cut butterfly, you can. And you can vary the width of your pedestal as well if you have something narrower that you want to put in the center of your card. So I die-cut this Blossoms 3 nestabilities, and then I punched 3 of the blossoms from the Blossom Petal Punch from Stampin' Up, and I sponged the edges of those and glued them on the back. And then I punched a 1.25 inch circle out of designer paper and sponged the edge of that, and assembled all of that And I'm going to use my scoreboard because it'll be a little cleaner. And I'm just going to score right down the center of this flower. And I'll fold it over and sharpen it up a little bit. Then I want to add a little bit of embellishment to my flower. This is pretty just like this, but I love butterflies. So I stamped these cute little butterflies. This is from a set inspired by stamping called Butterfly Wings. And I stamped 2 little butterflies here. Put some dimensional tape on the back of each one. And I'm going to slap that right onto my flower. Like so. Okay, at this point we want to attach our pedestal to our center embellishment. So what you're going to want to do is add some good strong adhesive to this triangular section on the pedestal. And then I'm going to fold this in half, right sides together, and I'm going to attach this pedestal. I'm just going to sandwich it in there, just like that. You can see it's attached on both sides. Make sure it's good and adhered. So when you open it up, it opens like so. Now we're going to need to have some adhesive on our tabs that hold the pedestal into the center of the card. So I'm going to use some good strong adhesive. This sticky strip works well. We'll add a line right along this score line here on this 1/2 inch tab. Now, the tricky part is making sure that you attach this pedestal in the right place on your card so that when it folds closed, you don't see any portion of the pop-up piece sticking out of the card. Placement is important. Now, if you modify this card a little bit different than what I'm showing you today, you're going to want to just temporarily place your pedestal and then close it to make sure that the piece is not popping outside the outer margins of the card. Now, I've pre-measured this, so I know exactly where I need to place it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler, and it's going to be 2 inches from the top of the card down to here, and that's where I want to put my point on my pedestal here. Now we're going to open it up a little bit so that there's a gap like this between the tabs, and then I'm going to put that point right up against the edge of my ruler. I'm just going to hold this in place and pull my ruler out. And so now I have the placement of my card. So while I'm holding this in place, I'm going to carefully take the backing off my tape and adhere that. And I'll take the backing off the other side. Okay, and I'm going to adhere that like so. Now notice there's a little bit of a gap here between the bottom tabs. You want that little bit of a gap so that when you open the card, it's going to spread the pedestal like this open. And then you can see it's freestanding like so. You could even put a picture on this, make a pop-up picture frame if you wanted to. And now when you notice, when you close it, it folds in on itself. Now the first time you fold it closed, you're going to have to sharpen up those creases a little. So I've closed it and then just sharpened it up a little bit. Like so. Now you're probably going to want to decorate the outside of your card, and then also you want to use a ribbon or a belly band to keep it closed because it is a little bulky. And if you're going to try to mail it, I suggest putting it into a padded envelope. Otherwise, it might get damaged in mailing. So what I did was I cut some layers and I glued them on the outside for the card, outside of the card. And then I just took a pool party piece of seam binding and wrapped it around the outside of the card and tie a little bow. Like so. Thank you for joining me today. I hope to see many more pop-up pedestal cards in the gallery at Split Coast Stampers.